Hey, struggling with your addiction to pornography? I'm going to show you today why stopping was the best thing I ever did in my whole life and all the benefits of stopping. Why? So that you can be motivated to do the things you can to stop this addiction. So I struggled with pornography for many years. No matter what I did, I just could not stop. And through a chain of circumstances, I got around the right people that helped me, showed me how to solve this problem, how to stop the behavior long term. And one key element of that was this individual who was helping me basically said, Russell, you don't have an acting out problem, a sexual acting out problem, a pornography problem. You actually have a sober problem, a life problem. And when he said that, it kind of turned things upside down in terms of my perception of how to recover from this. Because what that meant was that if I treated the underlying issues, the life problem, or what he called the sober problem, then it became easier to stay stopped long term. And I'm going to explain how that works. So the idea here is that acting out or pornography is just a symptom of a deeper issue. We do it to feel good. We get on there. I would sit down and start looking at pornography, and then all of a sudden this kind of feeling would happen, and I would get relief for the period of time. The problem is, once I started, I couldn't stop. I'd get sucked into it for hours and hours and hours, and it had devastating effects on my mental health, anxiety, depression, on my ability to function in the world. I'd stay up really late. I'd get up late for work. I'd be late to work, or I'd call in sick for work, and it just had devastating effects. What happened for so many years is I was just trying to stop the behavior. I'd promised myself I'd stop over and over and over again, and I couldn't do it. Why was that? And the truth was because the acting out was just a symptom. The pornography was just a symptom of a deeper issue. I had to actually heal the thing that I was medicating, my internal reaction to life, my beliefs, my fears, all the things that caused sort of this restless, irritable, and discontent inside of me. And until I healed that, I was going to continue looking at pornography long term. But the good news is that when I did heal that, two things happened. One, the obsession to act out, so the mental process that would lead me back to it over and over again, went away. So now I'm 16 years sexually sober. I'm 16 years away from pornography, and I almost never get that gut-wrenching obsession to go and act out. And so by treating my underlying issue, my restless, irritable, and discontent, my life problem, my sober problems, different ways to put this, the necessity of acting out to make myself feel better went away, and then all of a sudden the obsession went away. And the second part about that, which is really great, is that because I was treating my life problem, my internal reaction to life, I started to feel better and my life got better. So I no longer have that anxiety, that depression, that restless, irritable, and discontent. So I don't have the obsession, but also my life is great. I wake up happy. I can wake up when the alarm goes off. I can do the things I want to do in my life without the distraction of the addiction. But part of that is because I just feel good in life, and I'm able to just feel happy and satisfied and comfortable in my own skin without utilizing the crutch of an addiction like pornography addiction to feel better. But here's the thing. How do you get to that place where you heal the underlying issue? And that was really the key. I didn't know how to do that. I needed support. I needed help. I needed guidance. And so it's not just about like, okay, I'm just going to try to live a healthy life, and then all of a sudden the obsession is going to go away and I'm going to be free of this. I actually needed help from other people that were experts at doing this in terms of like, how do I actually heal those underlying things? How do I look at myself? How do I start to understand my beliefs and fears and start to transmute them and change my life, change my thinking and my behavior? I needed help, support, and guidance for that. So here's the nuts and bolts of that. This is how we do this in my program. First thing I needed to do is get really clear on what my sexual sobriety definition was. So in other words, what was the black and white? What was okay and what was not? It wasn't just about pornography for me. There was other acting out behaviors. I needed to become clear on that. That's what we call the sobriety definition. There's a little bit more to it than that, but essentially it's outlining like what are the compulsive addictive behaviors that I want to stop long term. We first get super clear on what's okay and what's not, and paint a picture of what healthy sexuality is moving forward in our life in recovery. The second thing we do is what I call a recovery routine, which is really just to say, like, now that I'm in recovery, what are the things I'm going to do? What are the peer support groups that I'm going to go to do? If people are in my program, they're writing out, like, what are the groups that we go to? What are the things that I'm going to do on a daily basis? I'm going to work on the curriculum, all the things that we're going to do. And we kind of integrate this into their lives. So if you have a busy life, you're working, family life, that kind of thing, recovery needs to work and make sense for you in your life. But you want to outline exactly what are the things I do on a daily basis to support my recovery. What do I do when I want to act out? What are my supports? What are the groups that I go to? All the things that we want to do. When do I exercise? These are things that you do on a weekly basis. When do I exercise? How is my eating? We take a review and assessment of that, and we create and map out a recovery routine that's really a health and wellness routine. It basically says, now that I'm in recovery, what does that actually look like? Then with the sobriety definition in place and a recovery routine that supports that sobriety definition, we then do the thing that I was talking about, which is we start to treat that underlying issues. And that's really phase 3 of my program. And we leverage writing for that. We look at what it was like growing up. We look at your sexual history. We look at the addiction history. We look at top issues, traumas that have happened over the life. And you start to go through this written self-reflective process where you take a look at your fears and your beliefs and your reactions. And it's not about the world outside of you, but it's the world inside of you, your reaction to it. We have very little control over what people did to us and what people do to us in the world outside of us. We can only have control and take a look at our own internal reactions to that. And that seems to be the key. When we self-reflect, we become aware of the fears and the false beliefs and our reaction to life, and we become more aware of that. Our thinking starts to change, our behavior starts to change, and that inner condition, that inner reaction to life, the thing that we medicate with pornography, starts to go away, and we start to feel better. And like I said at the beginning, that's when the obsession goes away and it becomes much easier to stay sexually sober. And again, the win-win here is that as a result, our life gets better. So it's not just about stopping the behavior and stopping pornography and the addiction, but it's about having a really fantastic life. So it's a win-win. You stop the obsession, you stop the addiction, but what's most important is your life gets better, which is awesome. So now, 16 years into recovery, and this happened pretty quickly. I'm able to work towards my goals in life. I'm able to wake up in the morning. I don't feel anxious all the time. I don't feel depressed all the time. These are all the things that I felt. I don't get angry at everybody outside of me, assuming I continue this self-reflective process where I take a look at myself, and I just have a better outlook. I feel better. I feel good physically and mentally, and acting out is just not something that's in the cards for me. Looking at pornography, I don't feel like I need to utilize that in order to medicate what's going on in my life. So what are all the benefits of this? I feel great. I have better focus in my life. I can work towards my goals. I do the things that I love. I wake up and do the best I can. That was a really good one. It's just waking up every single day, and when the alarm goes off, and just simply doing the best I can that whole day and going to bed satisfied that I did the best I could. That was one of the biggest wins for me, because I would just wake up. I'd hit the snooze over and over again. I'd wake up. I'd go to late. I'd get late to work late, and then I would just shut down in the middle of the day, because life, that internal reaction to life, would just overwhelm me, and I would shut down. And now it's just easy for me to wake up when the alarm goes off, show up and do the things I need to do for my family and for my career and my work. And I go to bed satisfied and there's ups and downs with all that, but I'm able to manage it much easier than I used to. And it just feels good to be able to function as a normal person in my life and do the best I can on a daily basis. And, at the end of the day, I'm now the man that I always wanted to be. And that's really key. So again, getting sexually sober, stopping the pornography, and all the negative effects it had in my life, my marriage, my ability to do my work really well, whatever the case may be, there's tons of negative consequences. What's amazing about that is I was able to stop and get free of the obsession, but my life gets better in the process, because again, the key to treating and stopping the behavior, the pornography, to stopping the addiction, is solving the life problem. And when we solve the life problem, life gets better. Hey, if this is all making sense to you and you're like, this really resonates with me and you're interested in what we do, I have a 12-week, and it goes beyond the 12 weeks, program, walks through the process I was just telling you about. Check out the link in the description below or anywhere around here, and reach out to us. Check out our website. Check out our video on how this works, goes into much more depth around this, and let us know what you need. And if it makes sense to work together, we can consider working together to see if we can get you to heal the underlying issues so that you can stop your addiction to pornography. Talk soon.